Donald Trump is doubling down on stupid. California has been a leader in climate policy going back to Ronald Reagan. 1967, Governor Ronald Reagan established the first tailpipe emissions in the United States of America, created the California Air Resources Board. 3 years later, a president by the name of Richard Nixon, another Republican, codified California's leadership under the Clean Air Act. Never in the history of the United States of America has there been a more destructive president than the current occupant in the White House in Washington, D.C. He's trying to recreate the 19th century. Donald Trump is temporary. He'll be gone in 3 years. California is a stable and reliable partner in this space. And it's important for folks to understand the temporary nature of this current administration in relationship to the issue of climate change and climate policy.
Senator, and ask you a question about American elections. We're
going to have them.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure that President Trump is going to...
The fact you asked me that is really offensive, but yeah, we're going to have them.
Okay. But you know why? Because they've already...
I don't know why.
Okay, good. Well,
I don't know why. I don't know why anybody would ask me that.
Well, because
quite frankly,
it's a big story.
You're missing a lot's going on. I like you. Let's talk about...
but you can convince everybody, you can assure Americans and others that it'll go
I can assure
as usual.
That only people worried about us not having elections, you can put in a phone booth.
All right, I need everybody to buckle up because the world stage is not a safe space for ego, and nobody lives off ego like Trump. Today, we're diving into how global leaders, diplomats, and democracy-minded voices react when America gets dragged into chaos, threats, and tantrum politics, and how that mess ripples into alliances, trade, security, climate, everything. And I'm watching this with you because I want to see who finally says the quiet part out loud. If you love explosive content like this and want to see more, click that subscribe button.
I mean, I made some pretty aggressive comments in Davos. I think I handed out knee pads on stage for, corporate leaders, sold out universities, law firms in my country that are selling out. You just got to call this stuff out. Look, the polluted heart of the climate crisis is big oil, period, full stop. That's what this is all about. I mean, that's where the politics, that's where the timidity comes from. You talk about the tech stack. You can't get in one of these modern new vehicles and ever want to go back to the old gas guzzler. I mean, the technology, and we can talk in terms of just energy efficiency and how we bring down costs, and we've got to address those cost issues. But the biggest problem is the deceit and the denial that's happening because of these special interests. And so you just have to have the courage to call it out. And I agree with you. It's infuriating what I hear privately, but is not expressed publicly. And so we have to call people out. They'll be held to account. They will be judged and ultimately judge themselves. And I think this is a moral moment across the board, simultaneous crisis, not just climate, but democracy. All this stacking of stress. And we all have a relationship to it. Society becomes how we behave. We are our behaviors. And so all of us have a role to play. All of us have agency. We can shape this conversation, but we have to stand up with more clarity, conviction, and we have to be more consistent.
People don't speak up because they're afraid of retaliation.
Yeah. Well, buck up. So am I. There's probably not a politician in the United States. I'm under assault attack by this guy every single day. Here's the President of the United States. He's 80 years old, and he's calling me a nickname that an 8-year-old called me, new scum. The President of the United States. You saw the racist tropes he put out. This is the President of the United States of America. Call this guy out. Stop this timidity. Stop with the BS diplomacy. You're in the rearview mirror. The recklessness of our own actions. And we're all becoming Chamberlains in this space. We have a supine United States Congress, so we have to stand up. Corporate leaders have to stand up. People have to stand up.
Okay, hold on. Newsome just walked into Davos and basically said, I'm done pretending this is normal. And thank God. Because that whole clip, that's what leadership sounds like when it's not trying to win the most polite while the house is on fire award. First off, he's dead right about big oil. The polluted heart line? Facts. This climate mess doesn't run on mystery. It runs on money, lobbying, and nonstop denial dressed up as concerned skepticism. And he's calling out the part everyone whispers about. Corporate leaders and institutions that talk brave in private, then fold in public because they're scared of retaliation. He's like, yeah, I'm scared too. Buck up. And the new scum nickname, come on, that's the level we're at? An 80-year-old man with the nuclear codes doing third-grade nicknames and allegedly boosting racist tropes like it's a hobby. That's not tough. That's unserious. And when Newsome says stop the BS diplomacy, he's talking about the way we keep appeasing tantrums like they won't escalate. History already tried that. It didn't end cute. All right, let's keep going.
You know, I think this is a moment where we are seeing our presidential administration tear apart the transatlantic partnership, rip up every democratic norm, and, you know, really calling into question, as was mentioned by David Carney at the World Economic Forum, the rules-based order that we have, or question mark, do we have? And so I think one of the reasons why, not just myself, but many of our colleagues here, in fact, Democrats, many Democrats that are here as well, is because we want to tell a larger story, that what is happening is indeed very grave. And we are in a new era, domestically and globally. There have been many leaders who've said we will go back. And I think we have to recognize that we are in a new day and in a new time. But that does not mean that the majority of Americans are ready to walk away from a rules-based order and that we're ready to walk away from our commitment to democracy. I think what we identify is that in a rules-based order, hypocrisy is vulnerability. And so I think what we are seeking is a return to a rules-based order that eliminates the hypocrisies around when too often in the West we look the other way for inconvenient populations to act out these paradoxes, whether it is, you know, kidnapping a foreign head of state, whether it is threatening our allies to colonize Greenland, whether it is looking the other way in a genocide. Hypocrisies are vulnerabilities, and they threaten democracies globally. And so I think many of us are here to say we are here and we are ready for the next chapter, not to have the world turn to isolation, but to deepen our partnership on greater and increased commitment to integrity, to our values.
Okay, so that's the whole picture right there, and it's ugly. You've got one side on the world stage basically begging people to wake up. Climate, democracy, corruption, the whole stack of crises because they're connected. And then you've got Trump-style politics that treats global leadership like a bar fight and diplomacy like a tweet draft. Newsome's point hit me. People stay quiet because they're scared of retaliation. And he's like, yeah, me too, buck up. That's the moment, because the right's entire playbook is intimidation, nicknames, harassment, and then acting shocked when nobody wants to work together. And then you hear that second clip about tearing up norms, torching alliance, and turning hypocrisy into a national security weakness. And it's like, yeah, that's the cost. When you threaten allies, flirt with authoritarian vibes, and treat rules like suggestions, you don't look strong. You look unreliable. So my takeaway? The world isn't humiliating America. Trump and the MAGA movement are. And the rest of us are stuck cleaning up the mess again. Tell me in the comments, what part made you the most furious?